Assalamualaikum and hello. My name is Nur Yasmin, and today my group members and I will be presenting our research entitled Advantages and Challenges in Sukuk Investment. My group members are Nur Syakirah, Muhammad Haziq, Muhammad Khairi, and Ajrun. In this video, there will be 4 subsections, namely Introduction, Findings, Discussion, and Conclusion. In Introduction, we will discuss what is Sukuk, the type of Sukuk, and the countries that have issued Sukuk. In Findings, we will learn on the platform for trading and issuance of Sukuk and advantages and challenges in Sukuk. In the discussion, we will discuss on Sukuk default cases and Sukuk investment. Lastly, conclusion, we will be summing up our findings in this research. So, let's begin.
For introduction, first, we need to know what is Sukuk. Generally, Sukuk is Islamic bonds, but to be more specific, Sukuk is a certificate of equal value of undivided ownership of assets or services, or ownership of special project investment activities. Generally, when we say bond, it is a pure debt obligation. However, there are some arguments on whether Sukuk is a debt type or equity type of instruments. A study done by Razi 2019 proposed that Sukuk is a debt type of instrument since it have a predetermined terms such as capitals, profit, and loss. This study also proposed that Sukuk is not an equity instrument due to it excluding the residual interest in assets ownership. However, another study proposed by Bakar 2008 said that Sukuk may be both debt or equity type of instruments depending on the contract's characteristics itself. Next, Sukuk functions. Sukuk can act as a certificate of assets ownership, as a fund for any infrastructure projects, or an alternative way of obtaining liquidity other than bank financing. For example, in Malaysia, Sukuk is used to finance infrastructure project called Mass Rapid Transit or MRT. This is also applied in many other countries such as Bahrain, Pakistan, and Qatar. According to World Bank data, there are a total of 19 major countries which issued Sukuk. And currently, Malaysia is the largest issuer, while followed by Saudi Arabia as the second largest issuer. Sukuk currently is ranking the highest among other financial instruments due to Sukuk's ability to merge into many markets, which lead to high demand. Lastly, we need to know that different type of Sukuk is applied differently in countries. Sukuk is categorized into 4, which is sale-based, lease-based, agency, and partnership-based. Currently, the most issued Sukuk is Murabahah Sukuk. To add, nature of Sukuk issuer is also different in different countries. For example, in Malaysia, nature of Sukuk issuer majority comes from government, while in Bahrain, majority of Sukuk nature issuer comes from corporations.
Next, I will continue to the finding of this paper. Basically, there are 2 types of platform used for Sukuk issuance and trading. The first type is fully automated system of issuing and tendering, which known as FAST. In order to use FAST, there are few steps needed for the Sukuk issuance under this system, beginning with the selection of principal advisor and Sharia advisor for the appropriate evaluations to send proposal for Sukuk issuance. Next, the principal advisor must request for authorization and receive indicative rating from a rating agency. Subsequently, the principal advisor will require to prepare and send final proposal to get approval from Security Commission. After the final proposal is approved, Bank Negara Malaysia will later establish and approve of the Sukuk issuance, the system enhancing efficiency of the Sukuk market. The second platform used for Sukuk issuance and trading is real-time electronic transfer of funds and settlement, known as Rentas, together with ETP, which is electronic trading platform. Completed transactions are needed to be disclosed to ETP in order to increase the liquidity and transparency of the Sukuk market. ETP is a licensed network operator that are expected to acquire authorization from the bank prior to offering their services in Malaysia. This system make it possible to negotiate an agreement, bid and offer match, a computer database that enable access to past data, list of prices and other trading information that require to inform secondary trading and settlement operation. Discussed in this paper. Firstly, the advantage of Sukuk investment is return on Sukuk is expected from a principal asset. Sukuk instruments are asset-based securities. Thus, the face value of Sukuk is based on the market value of the underlying asset. Sukuk investors are allegedly able to get more return, just as in the case of capital appreciation through the growth of profit sharing from the asset. Next, the advantage is less volatility of Sukuk market. It is due to the stable investor base and shorter duration. As Sukuk is less volatile than other type of investment, investing in Sukuk will help investors to reduce risk in the investment portfolio. This can secure the portfolio of investor when market is unpredictable. Lastly, the advantage of Sukuk is Sukuk more transparent. Authorized party has rendered specific disclosure condition for investment in Sukuk. The disclosure shall be provided by the issuer, contain information, face value of Sukuk, percentage of Sukuk obtained, and each type of Sukuk. This aim of this transparent information is to provide investor with more information when making decision. Lastly, let's move to the challenge of Sukuk investment. There are 3 challenges discussed in this paper. The first challenge is scarcity of supply of the Sukuk investment. The lack of supply is caused by some factors. The factors include high cost of issuance. Sukuk structure require comprehensive and expensive legal and religious advice, needing a broad range of knowledge and resources to make it work. It therefore takes longer time for Sukuk to be issued. Secondly, the challenge of Sukuk investment is deficiency of standardization. It focuses on standardization deficient of Sukuk in its documentation and framework, as well as standardization in Sharia principle. Due to that, the cost of issuing Sukuk is higher than the cost issuing conventional bond. Lastly, the challenge is low level of Sukuk rating. Sukuk need to be rated by international rating agency in order to gain worldwide trade. However, as for now, it is challenging to receive rating from large international agency. It is because the high rating agency fees, which typically means the agency are too costly for the issuer. This causes issuer vary to acquiring rating from the large credit rating agency.
Default on Sukuk. One cases of Sukuk default happened on 2009 when a Saudi business corporation, that is Saad company, has defaulted on a periodic payments. Because of this, the rating of the company status has been downgraded. The $650 million Ijarah Sukuk was issued on May 2007 for 5 years of maturing and were offered an annual return of 0.85%. The corporation issued the Sukuk to finance its investments and property is purchases in London and Saudi Arabia. So, the reason for the Sukuk to default is that the Saad company has defaulted on the $15.7 billion, including its Islamic bonds. Before this, the company faced several liquidity crises in early 2008 and could not meet its debt service obligations on time. The company also not provided a proper information to the regulators, and because of that, the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, or also known as SAMA, has froze the assets of the Saad group. So, in these cases, we can see that the Sukuk itself is not at default just because it is an Islamic financial product, but it is because of the credit risk of the company itself. That is Saad company. The company had a bad track record of meeting their debt obligations and any other issues such as misuse funds, corruption, and frauds. Plus, the company also does not provide proper information to their regulators. These are the reason why the Sukuk is at default.
Based on our observation, Sukuk investment better in terms of the return and low risk compared to the other typical equity or debt instrument investment. It is because the bondholder claim the future flow of funds to the bond issuing party, not in Sukuk. In Sukuk contract, investor claims more than cash flow alone because the profit is made by an asset used by the fund created by the financing Sukuk. It is because the relationship between the issuer and the investor in the Sukuk contract based on the Sharia contract used in the contract structure. But the relationship between the investor and the issuer in the bond is a debtor-creditor relationship. Second, if bond issuer cannot repay the debt and interest to the investor, investor will lose all the investment as the bond contract is usually no guarantee that the asset can be secured to recover the principal investment, but not in Sukuk. If anything happens in Sukuk, the investor can still claim that any of the investment assets are secured by collateral for the Sukuk contract. Third one, Sukuk has a lower risk compared to the bond. Based on the business risk, if anything happens to the bond issuer, the investor will lose all their investment. But in Sukuk, investor can still claim that any of the investment asset because it's secured by the collateral for the Sukuk contract. Second, liquidity risk, which is if anything happens, Sukuk can sell in the secondary market but not bond. And lastly, the portfolio management risk. Portfolio containing both Sukuk and bond is less risky as compared to the portfolio containing only bonds.
In conclusion, Sukuk, an Islamic bond adhering to Sharia requirement, is currently growing successfully and is estimated to increase even more in the future. Sukuk, an alternative way of obtaining liquidity, has been observed applied throughout various projects. Advantages of Sukuk is not limited to its ability in meeting Sharia requirements, but the structure of Sukuk itself, which implements practices such as return based on principal asset, a less volatile form of investment, transparency and ownership concept, makes it appealing to both Muslims and non-Muslims. Challenges in Sukuk will continuously be present as Sukuk continues to grow and develop to stay competitive with conventional bonds. Sukuk is not free of defaults. However, defaults in Sukuk are observed due to negligence of issuer and not due to the framework or structure of Sukuk itself. Thus, from the findings of this research, we believe that Sukuk is a better option in obtaining liquidity compared to conventional bonds. The increase in usage of Islamic financial products will not only be beneficial to the Muslim community, but also the non-Muslim community, as the Islamic financial system aims at realizing economic justice. That is all from us.